bread from flour, from yeast, from this beautiful, amazing culture. This is the culture.
It's like a living species. It's living.
It's a blend of germs, enzymes, you name it. Everything is in here. They make the dough rise.
And all the creation of the bread is preparing something that is alive.
They try and grab the sugar out of the starch that is in the flour. Then they grow, they produce acid.
Well, unfortunately, it goes into the oven and everything dies. But what left is the vinegar, like the lactic acid.
What's the name of that acid?
Lactic acid.
Lactic acid.
And that acid is good for us. Maybe there's a few germs that live left also. Some germs. Good for us too.
Beautiful flour. Okay. Ready? Okay. My name is Yohanan Arnon. No. So, where are we? We are in Moshav Sarona, a small village in the Lower Galilee in the north of Israel. For some reason, we're preparing a great. Well, we're trying. What are you talking about?
For some reason.
1 kilo. Why should you prepare bread? My mother is all the time telling me, why are you so obsessed with bread? Why are you doing bread? Do other things, you know? You begin with preparing your own bread. You are creating the mode of being in a situation that you are preparing your own food. It starts with the bread, the seeds, good flour for later, 2% of salt. Where is the salt? Oh, this is the salt. See, it's kosher salt, and I try to put 20 grams. It looks a lot of salt, but this is the only flavor ingredient that is going into the bread. Now I'm going to pour the culture inside the flour. Try and take the best out of the culture, saving as much water as I can. So every time I use the water, I try and get the most out of it. Very easy, very soft, not big, not too much pressure, just getting it together. I put a bit more water, just a bit more water. This will be sitting about 1 hour, so it will get together. The whole thing get together. The salt will melt, and the yeast will find themselves, will ferment, will germinate inside the dough. It will rest, and then after an hour we'll come back and we're going to knead it. So after 1 hour we knead the dough. The gluten are kind of strings inside the dough, and when you knead the dough, you're actually getting them to be more and more strangled inside each other. We take the dough to the bench. And then we fold it for a few times. It's a process that you can do 2-3 times. We take the dough, we fold it, we let it rest. Then we take the dough again, we fold it, we let it rest about 3 or 4 times. It's beautiful. At the end of that process, we put it in a bowl with a bit of olive oil and we let it rest for 6 or 8 hours. We take the dough out from the bowl. Cut it to 2. We fold every loaf like an envelope and we tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in. Turn it over inside a bowl with sesame seeds and black cumin, and you can also add what was left after you sifting. We are left with the bran. Okay, we take the bran and we can add it to the sesame seeds and the black cumin. We put it in the baskets. We leave it to ferment about 1.5 hours, 2 hours in the baskets. It's like a balloon. It's not that your finger sinks inside the dough. So it's really ready for the oven. We heat the stove between 250 to 300 degrees Celsius. Well, I mean, what do you want to say? What do you want to show off? It's not showing off. It's really from my heart, from my deep of my heart. I really want people all around the world to prepare their own bread. Really, I mean, it's so basic. It's so simple. Now, next step. Always when you finish preparing the dough, next thing you do, you feed the culture. A cup of water, cup of flour. Basically, when you feed the culture, you always try and feed it the same amount of flour, the same amount of water. Put the water before the flour, and then the flour. Clean the edges. Touching it with our bare hands is fine. We have a lot of germs on our hands. Now, putting it back in the fridge for later. Good.